The afternoon light filtered through the tall windows of Central Station as 24-year-old Sarah Martinez stood at the ticket counter, her 3-year-old son Jake sleeping peacefully in the baby carrier strapped to her chest. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her worn jeans and faded sweater told the story of someone stretching every dollar. The weight of Jake against her chest was both comforting and a constant reminder of the responsibility that rested entirely on her shoulders. Sarah had been standing in line for 20 minutes, rehearsing in her mind the conversation she would need to have with the ticket agent. She had enough money for one train ticket to Denver, where her sister lived, and had promised her a job and a place to stay. What she did not have was enough for Jake's ticket, and the realization was crushing her with each passing minute. Behind her in line stood 36-year-old Marcus Thompson, CEO of Thompson Financial Group, though his appearance gave no indication of his wealth. His dark hair was styled casually, and he wore a simple black sweater and jeans, having learned long ago that expensive clothing often created barriers between him and the people he wanted to understand. Marcus was traveling to Denver for a business meeting, but more importantly, he was searching for something that all his success had failed to provide: a sense of genuine human connection and purpose. Marcus had built his financial empire through careful observation of people and situations, and he could not help but notice the young woman ahead of him. There was something about her posture, the way she held her sleeping child, and the nervous energy she displayed that suggested she was facing a significant challenge. When Sarah finally reached the counter, Marcus was close enough to overhear her quiet conversation with the ticket agent. "I need one adult ticket to Denver on the next available train," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the anxiety Marcus could sense beneath the surface. "That will be $85, the agent replied efficiently. "Will you need a child's ticket as well?" Sarah's heart sank as she looked down at Jake, still sleeping peacefully against her chest. How much would that be? Children under 4 ride for half price, so that would be an additional $42.50. Sarah felt tears threatening as she realized the impossible situation she faced. She had exactly $85, enough for her own ticket but nothing left for Jake. The job interview in Denver was tomorrow morning, and this was her last chance to escape the cycle of poverty that had trapped her since Jake's father abandoned them. "I am sorry," Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible. "I can only afford one ticket right now. Is there any way? Could my son ride with me for free? He is very small and would not take up any extra space." The ticket agent's expression softened with sympathy, but policy was policy. "I'm sorry, miss, but all passengers over 2 years old require their own ticket. There are no exceptions." Marcus watched as Sarah's shoulders sagged with defeat. She stood frozen at the counter, clearly trying to figure out an impossible solution to her situation. "Excuse me," Marcus said quietly, stepping up beside Sarah. "I could not help but overhear. Would you allow me to purchase your son's ticket?" Sarah turned to look at Marcus with surprise and immediate wariness. "That is very kind of you to offer, but I could not accept that from a stranger. I do not have any way to pay you back." Marcus smiled gently, noting the protective way Sarah held Jake and the dignity she maintained even in her difficult circumstances. "I am not looking for repayment. Sometimes we all need a little help, and I happen to be in a position to provide it today." "Why would you want to help us?" Sarah asked, her voice filled with genuine confusion. "You do not even know us." Marcus considered his answer carefully. "Because I can see that you are a good mother trying to do right by your child. That seems like exactly the kind of thing worth supporting." Sarah studied Marcus's face, searching for any sign of ulterior motives or conditions attached to his offer. What she saw was simple kindness and genuine concern. "I promise you, there are no strings attached," Marcus added softly. "I would just like to help you and Jake get where you need to go." With tears of gratitude in her eyes, Sarah finally nodded. "Thank you. I do not know how to express how much this means to us." As Marcus paid for Jake's ticket, He found himself asking about their situation. Sarah shared that she was traveling to Denver for a job interview at a small accounting firm, having completed her degree through night classes while working multiple part-time jobs. "I studied business and finance," Sarah explained as they waited for their train. "I know I do not have much experience yet, but I am willing to work harder than anyone to prove myself." Marcus was impressed by Sarah's determination and educational background. "What kind of position are you interviewing for?" "Entry-level bookkeeper," Sarah replied. "It does not pay much, but it would be steady work with benefits, and my sister says Denver has better opportunities for advancement than our small town." During the 3-hour train ride, Marcus found himself deeply engaged in conversation with Sarah. She was intelligent, hardworking, and possessed insights about financial management that impressed someone who had spent his career in the industry. More importantly, she was raising Jake with obvious love and dedication despite facing enormous challenges as a single mother. Jake, who had woken up shortly after boarding, charmed Marcus with his curiosity and good nature. The little boy was clearly well cared for and happy, despite their difficult circumstances. "You are doing an amazing job with Jake," Marcus observed as they watched the countryside pass by the train windows. "It cannot be easy managing everything on your own." "Some days are harder than others," Sarah admitted. "But he gives me strength to keep going. I want him to have opportunities that I did not have growing up." As they approached Denver, Marcus made a decision that felt both spontaneous and inevitable. "Sarah, I want to offer you something that might sound unusual. I own a financial services company, and we are always looking for talented people with your background and work ethic. Would you be interested in interviewing for a position with us instead of the bookkeeping job?" Sarah stared at him with shock. "Are you serious? You would offer me a job opportunity based on a train conversation?" "I would offer you an interview based on what I have observed about your character, intelligence, and dedication," Marcus clarified. "The rest would be up to you to prove in a professional setting." 6 months later, as Sarah settled into her new role as a financial analyst at Thompson Financial Group, with Jake thriving in the excellent daycare program that Marcus had helped establish for employee families, she often reflected on how a moment of desperation at a train station had led to opportunities she had never dared to imagine. Marcus had not just paid for a train ticket that day, he had invested in a future that benefited everyone involved. Sarah's fresh perspectives and dedication had contributed significantly to several successful projects, while her presence had reminded Marcus of the human impact of financial decisions. When Marcus and Sarah began dating 8 months after that first meeting, it felt like a natural evolution of a relationship built on mutual respect and shared values rather than dramatic rescue or obligation. Their wedding, held in the community center where Sarah volunteered teaching financial literacy to other single mothers, was attended by colleagues and clients who had witnessed how their partnership had strengthened both their personal lives and their professional contributions. Marcus had learned that the connections he had been searching for were not found in boardrooms or exclusive social events, but in ordinary moments when people choose to help each other with simple, genuine kindness. And Sarah had discovered that sometimes the most life-changing opportunities come not from careful planning or perfect preparation, but from having the courage to accept help when it is offered with an open heart.